The NFL's worst teams actually had a good weekend. So it brings up the question, which one of those teams can show signs of life throughout the rest of the season? Hey, how are you, folks? Jason Horowitz. Glad to be with you here on CBSSports.com. It's the End Zone presented by the Nuvi phone, the navigation phone from Garmin. Let's bring in the team. CBSSports.com's NFL columnist Clark Judge, CBS Sports' Ian Eagle. Guys, glad to have you here. Let's get into this a little bit because the Bucs were competitive with the Panthers. The Raiders won. The Chiefs won. You had some very good performances from some very bad teams. You think that can carry through for a while here, or is this pretty much 1 week and done?
No, I think it can carry through. I mean, we're talking about teams that we like and teams that could improve over the long haul. I like Kansas City. Now, Kansas City won last week. Now, they beat the Redskins, so you say, well, it really doesn't count. Yeah, it does count to those people in Kansas City. They needed a win because they almost beat Baltimore. You can say they could have beaten Baltimore. They should have beaten Dallas. All right, now they finally got a win. They also have their quarterback in place, and I like that. Matt Castle, he's the quarterback for now. He's the quarterback for the future. You're building something. The other thing I like about this team, it's smart. They don't turn the ball over. They've had only 4 turnovers this year, and that's tied for the lowest in the league. So I like everything that's going on with Kansas City right now, not for immediately, but for the long haul. And keep in mind, they also play in the AFC West.
Yeah, and I think, Clark, you hit on something there. When it comes to trying to assess the future of an organization, the bottom line is this. You got to have the quarterback in place. The process has to include the QB. It's very simple. It's a cause and effect. If you don't have the QB, you don't have a future. In St. Louis right now, there's no future. In Tennessee with Vince Young, most people believe there is no future. In Washington right now, Jason Campbell's a free agent at the end of the year. Forget about what's going on this week, just in the big picture. There's no future right now with the Washington Redskins. You've got to get the quarterback in place. With that in mind, I believe Detroit has the quarterback in place. I think you will see improvement over the course of this season from Stafford, and then the big jump either next year or in year 3 where Stafford is really ready to take on the reins of leading and being the face of an organization.
Yeah, and hopefully that knee is in place here. They have the bye, then they get the Rams, so we'll see which team there has a better. You brought up the Redskins, and that's an interesting one because when you talk about the league's worst, you talk about Cleveland and Tampa Bay. You're talking about young teams. Redskins aren't a young team. They're not a cheap team. They're a very expensive team, and they're not very good. They seem to be in a different boat than the rest of the league right now, the rest of the bad teams in the league.
Yeah, they are in a different boat because this is an established, as you mentioned, established veteran team, and it's a team that thought it could win now. And quite honestly, I thought at least it had an outside shot going into the season at being a wild card, but I certainly don't think so anymore because you look at those first 6 games, they played teams that hadn't won a game, and they're 2-4. Now they get into the teeth of the schedule, and they're a mess. I mean, Jim Zorn's in an untenable position. He's waiting to get fired. Iron's right. The quarterback, who's the quarterback there? Is it Todd Collins? Is it Jason Campbell? No one seems to know. And there's discontent that's only going to get worse as the losses pile up.
What about the Raiders, Ian? Because that's the team that we always say, since Rich Gannon's days, who's your partner on CBS, is the worst team in the NFL, at least franchise-wise. They showed some life this weekend beating Philadelphia.
They did. And let's face it, the best thing that happened to the Philadelphia Eagles right now is the Philadelphia Phillies because people aren't paying attention in Philly. What happened to the Eagles? That is a brutal loss to the Oakland Raiders, a team that just could not muster up any offense against any opponent this year and finally scored enough to knock off the Eagles. They actually are pretty good defensively, Oakland. That's one thing about them. They compete. They've got some playmakers on defense. They've got a lockdown corner. So that's the one area, if you're not careful, we saw what happened with Philadelphia. And I think with Oakland, unfortunately, it's going to be linked to the quarterback. If you are of the belief that Jamarcus Russell is never going to be a legitimate leader, starting quarterback in the NFL, then odds are the Raiders are not going to be able to get themselves out of this malaise. Now, he's a tremendous athlete. We know that. He's got a rifle for an arm. We understand that. Does he work hard enough? Does he want it enough? Has he made the money? Is he content with where he's at in life? And is that need to be among the best not there? I don't know if he's got the fire to be a big-time quarterback in the NFL.
It may not just be Jamarcus Russell, because when you look at their top picks the last 3 years, Russell won. Obviously, it starts with the quarterback. Right. McFadden hasn't shown anything yet, and now he's injured.
He's got to stay on the field.
He's got to stay on the field.
Darius Hayward-Bay can't catch a ball.
No.
Right. So all kinds of problems with their top 3 picks at the top 3 skill positions, and so the Raiders. But at least they got a victory for 1 week. Kansas City's looking better. We'll see how it all works. Hey, look, this looks pretty good. It's the Nuvi phone from the navigation phone from Garmin. Take a look at what it can do here. Of course, this is the End Zone presented by the Nuvi phone, and it's the GPS navigation phone with preloaded maps. You can email, 3-megapixel camera. It looks great, too. When you can, everything is touchscreen. It's great. Fantastic phone. Check it out. Service from AT&T. That'll do it for the End Zone here. Presented by the new ePhone, the navigation phone from Garmin for Clark Judge and Ian Eagle. Check out the rest of the segments here on CBSSports.com. I'm Jason Horowitz. Take care, folks.